The Supreme Court has agreed to re-examine its own verdict on standing and playing national anthem in cinemas. The bench comprising of Chief Justice Deepak Mishra and Justice A.M. Khanwilkar and D.Y. Chandrachud indicated that it will re-examine its order of December 2016, by which the playing of the anthem was made mandatory in theatres before the screening of the movie. Justice Chandrachud, in fact, also observed, why should we have to wear our patriotism on our sleeves? Meenakshi is with us on the phone line. Meenakshi, some very, very interesting observations made by the top court as they decided to take up this case again.
Well, absolutely, Tanvi, and also such a departure from tradition, because our viewers will recall it is the top court of this country that we are talking about, and it has shown indication as to how it is willing to correct itself, perhaps in the light of new evidence that emerges, because traditionally the Supreme Court does not judge its own judgments. But like you rightly pointing out, this is an order of the Supreme Court which was passed about a year or so back, in which the playing of national anthem was made mandatory in movie theatres, and the Apex Court has today agreed to re-examine its own order, and the Government of India has time till January to revert, when the Supreme Court originally today pulled up the government asking as to why does it want for the Supreme Court to even enter this realm. If the government indeed wants for national anthem to be played compulsorily in public places, then it should go ahead and bring about a law to that effect. And interestingly, during the course of these arguments today, we heard some very terse observations pertaining to what patriotism should indeed comprise and look like. And in the course of that, we heard as to how, like you were again rightly pointing out, Honorable Justice Chandrachud making this observation that why should people indeed have to go ahead and bear their sense of nationalism on their sleeves, and indeed in cinema halls that too, because that is a place where people come in for undiluted entertainment. And the Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court also wondered as to where will such moral policing indeed stop. So very terse observations going out from the Supreme Court, putting the Modi government on the back foot.
We've got Mr. Arama Sundaram, Senior Advocate of the top court, with us on the phone line. Good evening, Mr. Sundaram. Thanks for speaking with us here on Mirror Now. I just want to first begin by understanding what's your own view. Here is the top court that will now look into its own verdict when it comes to mandatory playing of national anthem, and there have been very interesting observations made by Justice Chandrachud on the need for people to wear their patriotism on their sleeves, or the fear that if they don't, they may be tagged as anti-national.
Look, I think the entire issue really arose because there was an order passed. It wasn't a final judgment of the Supreme Court. There was a move then to recall the order. That was the application which was filed, saying that, look, it's a bit impractical to have the national anthem being played at the cinema theatres, especially because what was, I think, really urged was that there is a policy and there are various enactments which deal with respecting the national anthem, national flag, and everything else. And the government itself has guidelines regarding these. So the application really said that it's really a legislative function. So when there's a policy already governing it, should the court really be passing directions? And the argument taken was, by the petitioners, was that under our fundamental duties, one of the duties is to respect the national flag and the national anthem. And therefore, the argument put forward was this is nothing but enforcing a sign of respect. I think that is when the issue arose as to whether this was, first of all, whether a fundamental duty is actionable through, claiming, unlike a fundamental right or unlike a directive principle. A fundamental duty is only a guideline. It's not really a mandate to any citizen. So there the question arose as to, look here, well, all right, does that mean that the only way you can show respect is by having it being played in theatres? Because the basic issue which arose was that when a person goes for entertainment to the theatre, it's one thing to say that the national anthem played at events, government events, at events where there's a lot of public involvement. For example, even an international sports meet. a case of, let's say, an international cricket match, something where you're standing up for your country and your nation. Now, if you're going to a movie or you're going to a circus or you're going to a play, you're going only for pure entertainment purposes. And at that time, there is no need to impose on a person the necessity of having to have the national anthem and to stand up for it, nor should the theatres be forced to play such a national anthem. And I think that is when Justice Chandrachud also made his statement saying patriotism needn't be worn on its sleeve. And that's the statement I think you're referring to, which I think is really quite an apt statement, in my considered view, to have made today. I think that was quite a right statement.